Okay, thank you everybody for coming. Today is Monday, April 13th, 2026, 7 p.m. exact. My name is Paul Czaplinski. Apologies for being remote. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Toni Morrison,
Yes.
Christopher Palmieri,
Yes.
Josh Serafino,
Here.
David Zoni,
Here.
Jennifer Klock,
Here.
Michael Del Santo,
Present.
Kristen Gaida,
Here.
James Morelli,
Hello?
Jim Morelli?
I'm here.
Paul Czaplinski.
I'm here, Madam Clerk. And if you could, if everybody can please speak into their microphones because it's really hard to hear you remotely, we'd appreciate it. If you can please stand for the prayer and the flag salute.
Heavenly Father, give us the ability this night to see past what is first apparent and into the very heart of the issues that are presented. Keep us open and willing to hear the concerns of the people of this community and give us the courage to act upon those things which are best for Southington. Amen. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. Just a reminder for the remote participants, including myself, please put your phones on mute when you are not speaking. With that, to please everybody, since I am remote, I would like to turn the meeting over to the Vice Chair to facilitate the remainder of the meeting.
Okay, so we are going to be looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the last town council meeting,
So moved. Second.
Which meeting?
the March 23rd, 2026 meeting minutes that are in our packet.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes.
Before we move on, are we approving the minutes from the last meeting or not?
I don't believe we have those. Yeah, there's no minutes because it's a public hearing.
Okay. I just want to enter into the record then now, because we're not approving any minutes. The email that I sent, unfortunately, Dave, Kristen, and I were not able to attend the meeting because it was an added meeting. And as I mentioned, I think here, in the future, if we could seek, and actually, we've really done that. Paul, I'll give you credit. You've actually reached out in the past and asked for times that are convenient if we add extra meetings, so I appreciate you doing that, and I just ask if we can do that in the future. And I just want to enter this into the minutes, just formalizing that I did communicate that we were not able to make that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to councilperson's communications.
Ms. Vice Chair, I have one brief thing.
Yes, Chairman Del Santo.
So this past weekend, we heard from the Director of Public Works, Mr. Dave LaPre. The transfer station was mobbed, 1,100 cars. And I'm not sure if folks remember, this past Saturday and next Saturday are the only Saturdays that you're going to be allowed to get a pass for the transfer station at the Highway Department up off of Mulberry Street. After that, if you don't have a pass for your car, you're not going to be allowed to go to the transfer station. So this week, Monday through Friday, until 4:30 p.m., you can go to the Tax Revenue Collection Department and get your 2026 pass. They're there Thursday until 7, so if you're working until 5, you can get there at some point. If you don't get your pass this week, you will be allowed to get your pass at the transfer station on Saturday for the last time. After the 18th, if you show up on the 25th and if you don't have a pass, you will not be allowed to dump. I guess there was some crazy stuff. It was the Wild West. Folks were very disrespectful, very rude to town staff. One person, I guess, just ignored everyone, pulled in, parked his car, dumped his stuff, and left. Other folks were upset that they had to get out of the line and go up, but, you know, there's no other way for us to communicate this information. We've talked about it at this meeting 3 or 4 times. It's on social media sites, it's on the Town of Southington website. I have asked the town manager to kind of restore some order back up there. There's only 4 employees, they could only do so much. I'm asking for an additional employee, at least be there for the next couple of weeks. And I'm also asking for a Southington police officer to be there as well. Town staff should not have to put up with adult babies that show up and think that they don't need to follow the rules and regulations of the transfer station. I mean, this is checkers. I mean, this isn't chess. You have an opportunity, the pass is free, the transfer station is free. If you don't do it, you can't go. So if you fill up your truck on the 25th and you don't have a pass, you're gonna be asked to turn around and leave. And if you're disrespectful and rude, then the police will have to take over. It'll be a police matter. I'm asking for your cooperation with this, Alec. I know it's gonna cost money. The last thing we need to do is spend money on additional staff and police officers. So this is something we have to do to ensure staff is safe. I just can't believe we have to go down this road. But there's some bad actors out there that have to ruin it for the whole bunch. We know that happens all the time. So I just want to put it out there. I do have a Public Works report tonight with some other stuff, but I didn't want to take too much time at the report talking about what happened this past Saturday. I'm real upset. I'm really disappointed in some of the residents, the way they acted this past Saturday. There was 287 passes given out on Saturday. So there was one young lady working, giving out the passes, and she had to give out 287. So those folks could have gone Monday to Friday, and probably they couldn't because of where we all work, we all have busy schedules, we all have childcare, we all have things we have to do. So this Saturday is the last opportunity to do it. So I don't know how else to impart it. Yeah, right. I mean, you don't have to come in. You can send a self-addressed stamped envelope with proof of your registration. There's so many ways to get the pass. I know folks forget, but if you load up your truck and you head down there on the 25th, you're going to be turned away. That's it. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
So I was at a town meeting this past week. Josh was there too and heard kind of the same message. There was staff in the meeting who said that there was an individual who came in with out-of-state plates and was given passes. How does that work if they're like a town resident with?
If the registration says they reside in Southington, they're allowed to do it.
But if their cars are registered out of state?
I don't. Yeah, maybe they got a one-day pass.
I think it was the trailers that were registered out of state, but he lived in Southington.
They don't even, I have a trailer, and they used to make us get something for the trailer as well. They don't make you do that anymore. As long as it's a 4x6, it's gotta be a small, you can't,
I think it was oversized.
yeah, oversized are not
Staff
allowed.
aside.
One time, I think, yeah, one-day pass. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All those details are on the Southington website. It's clearly stated, okay? And I get it, folks forget. I've done it. I pulled in, I went home. I wasn't gonna ask anyone for any special favors. I went home. I wanted to go home, and I borrowed a truck one day. I had to go home, take everything out of my truck that I borrowed from a buddy of mine and put it on my yard till the next Saturday because I just forgot to get a new pass. Oh, and one more thing, sorry to belabor this. Folks need to put the pass on the window. You can't, that's part of the rules. And I guess a lot of people were very upset that they had to put the sticker on their window. That's the way it works. If you don't want to put the sticker on the window, dump your stuff someplace else. That's just the way it works. That sticker goes to that car. That's the only way for us to know that you're not violating the rules or taking advantage of the taxpayers. Okay? So that's it. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Del Santo. Other councilperson communication? Josh?
So I wanted to briefly address recent public commentary regarding constituent communication. So serving on the town council is a responsibility I take seriously. I ran for office because I've lived in Southington forever, and I care deeply about this town and its future. Under our charter, Town council serves as the governing and legislative body of the town, charged with reviewing issues before us, enacting ordinances, resolutions, approving budgets, making appointments, and carrying out the business of municipal government. My foremost responsibility is to perform those duties diligently and make informed decisions in the best interest of all of the residents of Southington. Like my colleagues, I balance the service on this council with family responsibilities, running my own business, and personal obligations outside of this office. We are all volunteers. We dedicate a significant time to this role because we care about our community. During high-profile matters such as the Kelly School referendum, budget season, and other major town issues, the volume of emails, phone calls, social media interactions, and public comments increased significantly. While I review constituent input and value public engagement, immediate responses to every communication are not always possible, especially during periods of heightened public interest or when correspondence are received, we'll say, outside of normal business hours. I would also like to note that public service should involve respectful dialogue. Unfortunately, the tone of public discourse has too often shifted from constructive engagement to hostility, assumptions, personal attacks, and outright lies at times. Disagreement is not only acceptable, it is healthy in a democracy, but civility and mutual respect should accompany that disagreement. I remain committed to transparency, professionalism, and doing the work the residents elected me to do. My focus will remain on carefully evaluating the issues before this council and making informed decisions in the best interest of all of the residents of Southington. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Serafino. Other councilperson communications? Chris?
Yes, I have a bunch. It's been a while since we met, so I apologize, but they're really good things too, I think, good for our community. First of all, I want to acknowledge on March 30th and thank Senator Richard Blumenthal, who came to Southington High School. He met with members of the Youth Council for STEPS because they had done an anti-gambling campaign. He was impressed with it, so much so that he came to hear directly from them at the high school. He met and listened to the students for about an hour, answered questions that they have, and actually proposed maybe taking some of their initiatives elsewhere in the state. So that was a huge shout out for Southington youth members of STEPS and the Youth Council. And again, thank you to Senator Blumenthal for coming to Southington to hear from our students. Also, over 2 weekends in March, Southington Food Services, as part of the Southington Public Schools, in conjunction with Bread for Life and the United Way, held food drives at Walmart to collect non-perishable food items for students to be able to pack backpacks to take home over the break. So many of our families, our students rely on the services that the schools offer, and because of the break last week, United Way, Bread for Life, and Southington Food Services wanted to be able to offer something for families in need. So thank you to those 3 organizations for working collaboratively, and the residents that donated to be able to offer that to students in need over the break. So that was fantastic, and just want to give them a shout out. Next, also another moment to be proud of for our school system. This past week, the SHS Varsity Winter Color Guard traveled to Dayton, Ohio, for the WGI Winter Guard International World Championship competition. The SHS Winter Guard program was restarted just 4 years ago after about a 20-year hiatus. So it was the first time the SHS has been in the competition program history. The World Championship competition began on Thursday with the preliminary round, and Southington placed 5th out of 134 competing color guards in the Scholastic A group. From there, they moved on to the semifinal round on Friday, where they placed 2nd out of 55 competing groups. Finals were held last Friday night. The end program and history was made. Southington took home the gold medal, taking home 1st place out of 20 groups and beating the 2nd place competitor by over a point. So huge congratulations to the Southington High School Winter Guard. Congratulations to them. And last, I had the pleasure to attend the FOI 101 session in the old Town Council chambers on March 31st. I want to thank Russell Blair from the state for coming down and facilitating that. Unfortunately, the attendance wasn't great that night, but I know the presentation was emailed out from the town manager, just a lot of great information in there, some good reminders. So I'd encourage members of our council and other boards, if they weren't able to attend, because I know it's another night out. And to your point, Josh, we're all volunteers, and it's another night away from home. But if you weren't able to attend, please take a minute to review all the information that was presented that evening. That is it.
Thank you, Councilman Palmieri. Any other councilperson communications? How about our remote attendees? Any councilperson communications?
Hey,
Okay,
Jen, it's Paul. I have one.
sure. Chairman, go ahead.
Thanks. I just wanted to, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I just wanted to say thanks to the superintendent for the work that he did and the Board of Education to take the feedback from the community on the public hearing. And also the feedback from the Board of Finance and also from members of the town council. I think Chris and maybe others had expressed at a previous meeting that, there was support for the elementary school project, but the concern had to do with the date of the referendum. So I think that was part of a few people who had made mention of that throughout the public hearing process. As everybody knows, there is action items that are on the agenda after the town manager's report to take and debate that. And we will also ask the council to consider the November 3rd, 2026 referendum date. So thanks to all of those stakeholders who were involved in listening throughout the public hearing process. I think the collaboration is great to see, and looking forward to discussing that.
Thank you, Chair Chaplinsky. Yes.
Just while we're on that topic, Paul, thank you. I appreciate hearing all that. I'm a little confused why there's two separate old business items, and old business item 1, items A through D related to the elementary referendum, which again, Paul, I think you eloquently stated, yes, there was concerns about the time frame, June versus November. Procedurally, though, I'm concerned that we're voting on items before the public hearing. And I know it's intentional. Things are broken out specifically in old item business 1 and then old item business 2. And I know there was a public hearing. I know the public hearing closed. But I do also realize that public communication is a time for any resident to speak about any topic, any item that they want to talk to us about. And in my time, I don't ever remember a time when we took action on items before the public communication. So I appreciate the way this is done on here, but I would ask for consideration to move it in with the old business item 2, so that should there be, I have no idea, there may not be anyone here to speak about it, but should we hear anything that warrants further consideration from the public, that we have the opportunity to reflect on that before voting on it. So I don't know, I guess I'll make a motion.
Yeah, Chris. That's
Paul, I was going to make a motion to move old business item 4 to A, B, C, and D,
Yeah.
to old business item 2, agenda item 9 on the agenda, so we vote on it after the public communication. Old business 6. No. Old business 9.
Okay, so do we
Chris,
form,
I would just offer, would you like to see if there's a second before we go into discussion, Jen?
I'll second.
okay, so we have a motion and a second, so now we can proceed with discussion.
Hi, Chris. Yeah, the intention there is, being extra careful with this. I'm not sure how, things in the past you had mentioned, but to your exact point, we have a public hearing and we have a process for the public hearing. And what you're describing about hearing additional comments or suggestions after we've already closed the public hearing is called ex parte communications. And I think the risk, honestly, of having ex parte communications and hearing additional facts that are not part of the public hearing because the public hearing is closed is probably a greater risk because those facts should not be considered after the public hearing is actually closed. So I would offer that if something new came up, because the public hearing is already closed, we shouldn't consider those procedurally from a Robert's Rule of Order and from from policy. It's just like going to the state legislation. Once they close the public hearing, they don't allow additional public comments. We're not supposed to take those. So that was the reason procedurally why we did that. Honestly, I would not be opposed to having the vote after public communications. But the only caveat is if anybody comes up to speak about the schools, then the vice chair is going to have to stop that discussion because we can't receive additional communications about this project.
We get,
I was going to ask
Lou's
the town
opinion.
attorney. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my understanding that the public comment was closed on it.
So I've served in the council for 20 years. I don't ever remember a time that we have voted on an item before public communication. There is,
But there was public communication, right?
I understand, but in a regular council meeting agenda, I don't ever remember a time when we have voted and taken action on items before we give an opportunity for the public to speak during any regular council meeting. So if anyone can tell me a time when that has happened, I'd like to hear that, but I don't ever remember a time that has occurred. And I know you're new.
Our other boards do this all the time.
Right,
I'm speaking to the council.
Chris, I think actually we do it. I think we do it as a matter of course with our budgets as well, Chris.
The budget is a
When
separate.
we vote on our budget, we do it before public communication.
So the budget is separate because, as you know, that's almost a separate meeting, and then we adjourn that meeting and then go into the regular meeting. So it is a separate, so you're right, the budget is different, but when we get that agenda in a month, it'll have a portion dedicated specifically to the budget, and then there's the regular meeting agenda afterwards.
Josh.
So Lou, what is your opinion on what we should do here?
In my opinion, I think the public hearing was closed. I mean, I get your concern, Chris, but whoever wanted to speak and have the opportunity to have their opinion heard did have that ability.
So should we follow what is on here, in your opinion, from a legal standpoint, so we don't run into any issues?
Yes, I have no concerns about placing the agenda as.
Before we take a vote, does anyone do commentary they want to? A number of families in this community are so appreciative of the productions that you work so hard to put on. Just thank you.
Thank you.
As the parent of, my son has never been in one, but I just know a lot of families that very much enjoy everything that goes into those. A lot of hard work, so thank you.
Thank
They
you.
were sold out, right?
Yeah.
People were
somewhere.
trying to get
Yeah,
tickets,
yeah.
they were scalping.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will close councilperson communications and move on to reports of special committees. A, Public Works.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I talked a little bit about Public Works earlier, but we did have our meeting on Wednesday, April 1st, just a couple of issues, not issues, but updates. The police chief talked about bus safety issue. Apparently, there are some complaints about the the busing that is happening on Queen Street are stopping whenever someone kind of raises their hand for the bus to stop, which is creating some traffic concerns. So the chief looked into it, had an officer actually look into it, and we got some notification back today that says there's an ADA compliance that says that the bus has to stop for them. So I guess there has to be some more discussion with regards to this because it creates a safety hazard. And we want to make certain that we're following ADA compliance, but we also want to make sure that pedestrians and cars are safe on Queen Street. So once again, I believe a meeting should probably be held with New Britain Transportation to kind of clear this up. I'm sorry. New Britain Transit is the company for it. So more to follow on that. At this time, there are designated areas where the bus picks up and drops off folks. Like there's one at Stop and Shop, there's one in the ShopRite Plaza, but they are allowed to kind of, if they get flagged down by a resident, they need to stop to allow that resident to come on the bus. I guess the whole idea behind it is that ADA says there has to be a covered area, they need to be out of the elements, and if there isn't that, they have to stop. They have to stop when someone kind of tracks them down, so more to follow. The police chief talked about Berlin Avenue has sparked up again. They're working on Berlin Avenue. They're working as diligently as they can. There's going to be doing whatever projects they can do at night, they are going to do. There is no way, unfortunately, for them to leave one lane open when they work because I guess they're installing pipe on one side and they're bringing laterals to the other side. So they have one metal plate just in case there's an emergency, if a fire truck or an ambulance needs to get by. But they can't stop work every time a car comes and put the plate on and move the plates to work.
And they also had